Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another video where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either November 10th or 11th, 2020, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Now, as I've mentioned for the past several weeks, these videos are too long, so I'm going to try to make them shorter, but there's a lot of information that I want to share with you all. So I'm going to do a little bit less commentary on stuff this week and just kind of present stuff for you and kind of let you come up with your own ideas. The first thing I want to do is I just want to talk quickly about two books that didn't fall into any other category this week that are books that I like that I want to mention are coming out this week and I want you to be aware of them. The first one is We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 3. I really like it so far, so I'm all in on this one and I'm really interested in seeing where the story is going. And the other one is Seven Secrets number 4. I like this one as well, but it's waning for me a little bit, and so I'm really hoping that with issues number 4 and 5, it picks up for me. Otherwise, I might be dropping off on it. But it has been good so far. I'm just waiting for it to get really great. The next thing I want to talk about is my cover pick of this week, and there's just a handful of them, ones I want to talk about. The first one is Marvel Zombies Resurrection. I forget what issue number this is. I'll drop it in. I think it's either number 2 or 3. This cover by InHyuk is really great. And if you're ever interested in watching some really great art come to life, go to InHyuk's YouTube page. I'll put the link to it in the description. You can watch sped up versions of him doing his drawing, and it is amazing to watch. It's entertaining, but it's also really informative and educational, and it's exciting to watch these images come to life. And he did a whole series of them for these Marvel Zombies covers. They might be something that you might consider checking out. The next one is a book that I've been reading and one I will be picking up this week, but this is on my covers picks for this week, and it is Wolverine number 7. I really like this cover. It comes from a different perspective that you usually don't see in comic book covers, and it is from like the ceiling down to the floor, looking at Wolverine from the top of his head with all those swords sticking out of him. It's a really cool, unique perspective, and I find myself kind of getting lost in it and enjoying checking it out just because of that unique perspective. But I also think the composition is really nice with the X and the different characters in the X, so I really like this cover. I think they did a really good job with it. The next one I want to point out is Hawkman, number 29. Now this series is canceled, as you see right there. It says final issue. But even though nobody really cared about the Hawkman series, a lot of these Hawkman covers were really good. And this one's no exception. I like it a lot. So if you do yourself a favor, if you're not aware of these Hawkman covers, go and take a look at some of the Hawkman covers and you'll be like, man, I'm surprised more people didn't read this book just off of cover purchase alone. They've been really great and consistently great. The next one that I want to point out is from a book called The Marked. This is issue number 9. I really like this drawing. I like the art style. I'm generally a fan of this really kind of heavy black outline art style, which is present here in this cover. I think the tattoos look amazing on this character. I think her hair looks amazing. I kind of like how the wings are more two-dimensional than the character. It's almost like she's sitting in front of a wall that has wings drawn on it. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I like about this. It's unusual, but I find myself taking it in and having a hard time looking away and just checking out all the details. So I like this one a lot. The next one I want to point out to you is, yes, it's Joshua Middleton, but it is not my pick this week. These Wonder Woman covers, like I've mentioned before, are so good. It is hard to not make these Joshua Middleton Wonder Woman covers my pick week after week after week. And I came this close, in fact, to picking this one again. But although it's really good, I didn't choose it because there's one that I thought was just a little bit better than it. And that's why this week my cover pick comes from, once again, The Marked, number 9, but this is the A cover. This is really great. I really like this art a lot. This does something that I really like in art, that I really appreciate in the art that I like, and that is when the brush strokes are clearly visible when you are up close. But when you take a step back and you take it in as a whole, it almost looks photographic. But if you get into it, if you start really paying attention to her hair and the background, you clearly see the brushstrokes. But you take a step back and it just looks amazing. Now she may have unreasonably large lips, but it fits the image. It fits the character with those cheekbones and that chin. Like I buy everything about this character, and the tattoos on her look great. I mean, this is, once again, I mentioned before about one of the Joshua Middletons that from a few weeks ago, that if I was in an art museum and I saw this, this one would be like, you know, when I've been to art museums, I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, hold on. This is one that would make me say, oh, hold on, and make me look at it for more than just a split second. I like it a lot. It makes me interested in this book in general. I don't know anything about The Marked, but the fact that it has 2 great covers that come out this week, it piques my interest. Let's just put it that way. So if you're interested in this art and you like it as well, you might consider picking this up and not just not reading it. I would recommend reading it, because if the art on the cover is echoed, the quality of it is echoed at all with the content inside, I bet you it's a pretty good book. So I'm curious about it. If you're reading The Marked, let me know. Let me know if you like it or if it's just garbage and the covers just happen to be fantastic. But let me know in the comments, if you're reading The Marked, what you think of it. Okay, so next is the main feature of this video today, and it is the stupid amount of #1 books that come out this week. I mean, it is ridiculous. I think I stopped counting when it got to 15, and it might be up to 20 or more. I'm going to basically tell you about all the ones I could find, maybe minus 1 or 2 that I found, and I'm like, I just can't add anymore. Some of them I'm going to read the description for as quickly as possible, and I'm going to try to keep my comments to a minimum. I just want you to know about all these #1s that come out this week. The first one is from Image Comics. It's Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl #1. This is a 5-issue series. I'm not going to read the description, but if you know anything about Kick-Ass and you like it, you might want to consider checking this out. The next one is from Dark Horse Comics, called Resident Alien, Your Ride's Here, #1. This one, I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Let me read the description. I read the description. I was like, yeah, less interested. So, but it's coming out this week. If you like aliens living amongst us, this might be one you might consider. The next one is Dungeons & Dragons at the Spine of the World. Now, I like Dungeons & Dragons. When I was a kid, I played Dungeons & Dragons, and I loved it. In fact, I would love to be in if I had more time too, but I would love to be in a Dungeons & Dragons group right now. I think it's a ton of fun. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want it also in your comic books, this is for you. Absolutely. It's from IDW Publishing, and it is new this week. Next is Marvel Action Chillers, #1. Just real fast, it says the chilling grip of the ancient Darkhold threatens the Marvel heroes, and it's up to Doctor Strange and Ironheart to save the day. But there's more to this terrifying mystery, as our heroes follow the twisted trail of the Darkhold that the Darkhold leaves behind, discovering its lost stories full of scares and thrills. Well, it sounds like low-grade kind of scary stories for younger audience from the Marvel Universe. Now, it's not necessarily exclusively for kids, you know. If you're an adult and you like this kind of thing, I'm sure it's for you as well. But if you have a kid and they want kind of spooky stuff, and they also, you know, are big fans of the Marvel Universe, this is going to be the perfect book for them. Something you might want to consider for them, and maybe potentially even for yourself. The next book is one that is kind of interesting to me. It's called Scarenthood, and it's from IDW Publishing. Here's the description. To-do list. Drop kids at preschool, / grab coffee with other parents, / go ghost hunting in the woods, / fight demonic entity, / collect kids, / nap time. With their kids away on a field trip, a group of parents disturbs an ancient evil buried beneath the old church hall, unearthing a decades-old mystery about a missing child and inviting something hungry into their lives. Suddenly, their mornings go from playdates and peanut allergies to a battle for the souls of one broken family and one child in particular. Okay, this sounds like fun. If you're a parent and you're interested in getting out of the kind of like day-to-day doldrums of being a parent and you want to escape in a comic book, this might be the comic book for you. Check it out. It kind of sounds like a fun, interesting story. The next one I want to mention is from Marvel Comics. It's Taskmaster #1. This is a 5-part limited series. Now this cover is also super fantastic, and I think most of my interest in this book comes from this cover, and that Taskmaster seems like a pretty cool character, because the description is not as interesting, but I'm going to read it for you because it's fairly short. Taskmaster has murdered Maria Hill, or at least that's what the whole world thinks. Now the greatest spies in the business are hunting him down and won't stop until Taskmaster is dead or clears his own name. So it's kind of a typical way to tell a hero story about a bad guy. It's like, oh, they think I killed somebody? Well, I didn't, and I don't want people thinking I did that, so let me catch the bad guy. It's a little bit of a cliche premise for telling the story of a bad guy, but Taskmaster is cool, and once again, this cover is cool, so it might be something you want to check out, and it's only 5 issues. The next one I want to mention is from Boom Studios. A few weeks ago, I mentioned one new title that was coming out from Boom Studios called Mighty Morphin. Well, now we have the second, Power Rangers. If you like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you're going to want to pick up Mighty Morphin. You're going to want to pick up Power Rangers. You're going to have to pick up both of them. It's not exactly my thing, but I could see it being your thing if it is your thing. Because I read the Free Comic Book Day, like I mentioned before, version of Power Rangers, and I thought, okay, this isn't bad, just not my thing. But yes, for you Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fans, you have 2 new titles coming out. I hope you enjoy them both. The next one I want to mention is from Zenescope Entertainment. It's Belle Horns of Minotaur #1. It's about Belle, and she's a beast hunter. Have fun. Enjoy it if it's your thing. The next one I want to mention is Cutting Edge Siren Song #1. This is from Titan Comics. Now, I looked at the cover and I was like, this is pretty interesting. And then I read the description and I was like, yeah, a lot less interested. If you want to know why I had that turn, I recommend you go and research the description yourself. I'm not going to bother reading it for you here today, but it's out and something you might consider being interested in. This next one is possibly got pushed, but when I did my research on this, it was still scheduled to come out next week, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it, but like I said, it might have been pushed. It is from Coffin Comics, and it is Hell Witch Forsaken #1. Well, if you like demon-looking, scantily clad women, let me tell you, Coffin Comics has got the book for you. That's this one, Hell Witch Forsaken #1. Not exactly my thing, but for some of you, you might be like, yes, I love demon-looking, scantily clad women. Sign me up. Well, this book is coming out possibly this week. Possibly it's been pushed. The next one I want to mention is really an interesting one to me. It was surprising how interesting it was to me. It's from Antarctic Press, and it is called Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights #1. It's a 3-part series. The description is the true story of a 15-year-old streetwise girl named Janie XXXXX. It's redacted. They've redacted her name. And I believe them when they say this is a true story, so this is interesting. Back in 1978, Janie left behind her abusive past in small-town Ohio and hitchhiked to LA. There, she soon found out neighbor's business was all about cocaine. For the next 8 years, Janie worked to hustle cocaine for the cartel at clubs and parties, selling to the rich, famous, and powerful. Then she started to stop selling, and the troubles started. So this is not an original story. We've heard stories like this a million times before. But it's kind of interesting to me, these types of stories. And it's also interesting when they kind of tell these stories again, because it's like, okay, well, I would hope that if they're going to do it, they're going to do it better or more interesting or with a different spin. So fingers crossed for that. But also in comic book form, I mean, there's movies like this, a ton of them, but not so many, I would think, in comic book form. So it'd be interesting to me to check this out. Let me know if you pick it up, what you think of it as well. I just wanted to make sure it was on your radar because it seems a little great interesting to me. This next one, if I was just kind of randomly looking for a book to pick up, and I'd be like, this is, well, I'll try it to pick. Let's call it that. It would probably be this one. It is from Aftershock Comics, and it's called Miskatonic. It says, Miskatonic Valley holds many mysteries. Cultists worshipping old gods, a doctor dead set on resurrecting the recently deceased, a house overrun by rats in the walls, but none more recent than a series of bombings targeting the valley's elite. These horrors reach a breaking point when the brilliant, hard-nosed investigator Miranda Keller is sent to stop the bombings. To J. Edgar Hoover, there can be no other explanation than those responsible for similar actions during the Red Scare of the 1920s. But when Miranda digs too deep, she uncovers an unimaginable occult conspiracy, one that may cost Miranda her job and her sanity. Now, as I mentioned in the previous book, there's a lot of movies and very little comic books about this kind of that kind of topic. For this topic, for this type of story, it feels like there's probably been 1,000 different comic books that tell this kind of like occultish, mystery, horror kind of period vibe. Seems like a good place. But, you know, comic books can be a great place for a great story, and this sounds like it might have the potential to be a great story, or it might be a cookie cutter thing. I'm interested. The art style looks good on the cover here. The description is at least interesting enough. Like I said, if I was looking for just some random book to just kind of pick up off the wall and give a shot, for me, it would probably go ahead and be Miskatonic. The next book I want to mention to you is Terminal Punks. I'm not going to read the description to you at all because it's very short, but actually doesn't seem like the worst thing. It could be right up your alley, maybe one that you might want to consider checking out. The next one, like I told you, there's a lot of them, is Children of the Grave #1. This is from Scout Comics. This is kind of an interesting story, although maybe also kind of typical for comic books. Earth has been reset. Now known as Terra, the populace lives in blissful ignorance of the centuries of unrest that plagued mankind. Now the Terrans receive all they need from the mysterious but unquestioned providers. Life is free of hardship, pain, and suffering on Terra, but something is brewing, and young Terran Daniel is determined to find the truth. Scout Comics presents another installment in the annals of sci-fi futures that are too good to be true. I'm a little bit of a sci-fi fan, so there was a little bit of stuff that's interesting in there for me. You might want to consider checking it out as well. Also from Scout Comics is the Recount #1. The covers for this are pretty cool, maybe a little bit cooler than the description, but let's give it a try. After the assassination of a U.S. president, the conspirators turned their sights on all who helped him get into power. By this, they mean to kill everyone who helped him ascend to the presidency, including the ordinary citizens who elected him, essentially plunging the entire country into civil war. Meanwhile, the vice president, one of the few survivors of the executive branch, struggles to prevent the nation from descending into chaos. Well, some of the people might think like, hey man, that's America's future right there. Let me pick that up. It might be. Who knows? Let's hope not. But this could be a cool kind of dark story that could be a cool, fun read. So it might be something you might want to consider checking out. The next one is a book that I will personally be picking up this week, definitely. And it is because, as you all know from watching these videos, I am into the Dark Knight's death metal stuff. And this week's installment is Dark Knight's Death Metal Infinite Hours Extreme, with 3 X's, #1. Now, let me read the description to you, because it is 100% going to tell you what the tone of this book is. Pull up a chair, you best stitches. It's time for Uncle Lobo's Infinite Hour. It's your chance to let the main man lobotomize you with familiar yet freaky stories from the DC universe, exactly as he remembers them, with blood and guts and extreme, 3 X's, gratuitous violence. Tell your comics guy to put you down for all the copies. Well, Lobo is a lot like, DC's version of Deadpool, where you get just this kind of wacky, ultra-violent, off-the-rails character. And that might be perfectly suited for the Dark Knight's Death Metal series, which, as I mentioned before, is sometimes very kind of tongue-in-cheek and ridiculous, but acknowledges it. It's not ridiculous in that it got so big that it was just like, this is dumb. It's like, no, we know we're ridiculous. We're going to lean into it, and we're going to have fun with it. And that's what this book, I hope, is in particular. I hope it's ridiculous. and I hope that it's a ton of fun in the process. So I'll absolutely be picking this up. It might be just perfect book in the Dark Knight's Death Metal series, something you might want to consider checking out if you're looking for fun, if fun's your thing. I know it's mine. And that almost brings us to the end of our list of number ones that come out this week. The final one is the book that I would pick this week if I could buy just one book. And that book is Punchline, number one. Now, there are a ton of covers for this book, and a lot of them are really great. I'm going to let them roll while I go ahead and talk to you about this title. Well, it is from my main man, to borrow something from Lobo from the previous book. It's from my main man, James Tynion IV. And you know I'm a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of his writing. So, of course, I'm very interested and excited to see what he has to offer me here with Punchline number one. Now, of course, Punchline is James Tynion IV's creation. Her first appearance being in Batman '89, and then her first full appearance being in Hell Arisen number 3. Now, unquestionably, those are two of the biggest books of this year, of 2020. And a lot of that is because, it was a new character that came out, Joker's girlfriend. And of course, everybody loves Joker. Joker is an amazing character. And also, everybody's come to love Harley Quinn. Her first appearance is very valuable. People have really enjoyed her as a standalone character. So when they heard that Joker had a new girlfriend, people jumped on it. But even though Batman is not an under-ordered book, it's one of the biggest selling books in existence, the demand far outpaced the supply. And so that book became very, very valuable because people weren't expecting this Punchline, this first appearance of Joker's new girlfriend. Even though it was a very limited first appearance, people scrambled for that book. And then when Hell Arisen 3 came out, where even fewer people were ordering that by a long shot than were ordering Batman, they had her first full appearance in Hell Arisen number 3, and people were scrambling for that book as well, and the demand far outpaced the supply. So that book got really, 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 really hot. And I think people then fell into one of two camps. Either they got their hands on one of them or both of those books and they're like, yeah, Punchline's the next big thing, thinking that they're going to make tons of money off their books, or they didn't get their hands on their books. They're like, Punchline's stupid. She's no Harley Quinn. I hope she dies. Well, I don't think Harley Quinn is going to die. Punchline. I don't think Punchline is going to die. I think she's going to be around for a while. Now, is Punchline going to be as popular as Harley Quinn? I seriously doubt it. But Punchline should have the potential, at least as far as I'm concerned, to be an interesting character in her own right. She's similar to me in a respect as like the Robin King. It seems like DC is creating these kind of new characters, these new bad guys that are going especially dark, and I think that that's appropriate for the way that stories and the world are going these days. I think we need characters that are a little bit darker. And whereas Harley Quinn was a little bit kind of fun and campy, especially coming out of the Batman animated series, Punchline is a lot darker. Punchline is a lot smarter, I would say, in a way, potentially, at least as far as like evil is concerned. I'm sure somebody out there just went, how dare you say that, and like jumped at the screen. Dislike. But she seems to have she seems more maniacal, more devious. She seems to, whereas Harley Quinn was in love with the Joker, it seems like Punchline kind of idolizes the Joker and kind of wants to do as the Joker has done, but maybe even at a higher level. Now, is she ever going to be as cool as the Joker? No, you really can't get cooler than the Joker. But like I was saying, I think that Punchline has the potential to be an interesting character in her own right and moving forward. And her usage in the Batman stories and has been kind of as Joker's girlfriend, as Joker's sidekick, as Joker's kind of lackey. Hey, go do this for me, Punchline. And it'll be interesting to see how, if this Punchline one-shot that's coming out gives us a sense of what Punchline is capable of standing on her own. And like I said, I'm interested. I'm optimistic even. And so it'll be interesting to see where James Tynion IV, who once again created this character, is going to be taking this character. And this will be a glimpse of what we might be able to expect from James Tynion IV and this character moving forward in the future. And in a week where nothing really kind of especially jumped out at me in particular, I chose this one because Punchline has been such a hot spec'd on character this year, and also, of course, because I think James Tynion IV rules. And so for all of these reasons, this is why I picked Punchline #1 as my just one book pick of this week. So, as always, thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my pick for this week, please let me know down in the comments. I would like to know if, like, yes, Jeff, that's an excellent pick. I would pick that book if I could pick just one book as well. Or if there's another book that you would rather have, if you could have just one book, tell me down in the comments what that one book would be for you. As always, likes are appreciated. You know, they are very encouraging to me. I always say that, but it is always true. The more likes I get, the more I'm like, hey, people are interested, people are enjoying this, and it motivates me to do more of these. So if you do like the video, please hit the like button. If you don't like the video, don't hit that like button. But let me know in the comments what you don't like. And I'm open to constructive criticism, and I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say, and I will absolutely take it into consideration. If you haven't already subscribed, I highly recommend you hit the subscribe guy, and also hit the notification bell so you're notified when I put out new videos. I make this video every week, and I have other videos that I have planned that are going to be coming in the next few weeks. As always, thank you again for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.